Hi, I'm Johnny Good from ultimatepapermache.com, and I put up a video just a few days ago asking for some feedback on some changes I was making to my original paper mache clay recipe. I got some feedback. I got some ideas that I think are going to really work well. One of them is a new way of making the paper much finer, so you get a much smoother paper mache clay. The other idea was for how to make a homemade glue to replace Elmer's glue, so it's less expensive and it also makes a clay that isn't as sticky, which I really like. And the other idea was to completely replace the flour in the recipe with a powdered clay. And I'm trying all three of those. What we end up with is with a clay that feels almost like the creative paper clay product, you know, the commercial product. It isn't sticky. It is also not as strong as the original paper mache clay recipe, which is so hard it's almost like plastic. One of the problems with it being really hard is that you can't sand it. This is really soft, so you can sand it, but you can also break it. As I'll show you a little later, I actually managed to break the little tile that I made, but it was only like 1/8 of an inch thick, so I think that's forgivable. So let's get started. I want to show you those changes that I made using the ideas that I got from you folks out on my blog at ultimatepapermache.com. Tanya suggested that we soak the paper, then squeeze out all the water and put it in this food processor to grind up the paper, and it really does an amazing job. So I went ahead and tried that. Okay, now we've got some nice finely shredded damp toilet paper, all broken up, and now I'm going to add the homemade glue made from the recipe that Rich provided on his website, using this instead of Elmer's. And then the all-purpose joint compound and the powdered clay, which is being used as a filler instead of the flour. It's very smooth because I think probably because I broke up the paper the way that Tanya showed us how to do with the food processor. Now the Douglas Witt also gave us a link to a video from some folks in India, I believe they were, who soaked their paper. They were using, I think, recycled paper, but they soaked it like people usually do when they're making paper pulp for paper mache, and then they dried it, and then they pulverized it, I think in a machine very much like a food processor. So they ended up with dry powder paper. I'm not going to try that. I think it would work. It would be pretty cool, but this seems to have worked just as well, and it was an awful lot easier. So let me get a close-up here. I'm going to show you what kind of detail this is taken. You can see that the little lines I'm putting there with the knife actually show the little bumps from the serrations on the knife. That's amazing detail. I mean, we're talking paper mache here, and that's incredible. So here's the I just broke it. So here's the tile that I made. It does shrink about 5%. As you can see, it is breakable if you really work at it. I don't think this is actually quite dry because I only gave it a few hours in the oven. But because it's using the homemade glue instead of the Elmer's, it's not really as plasticky, plastic-like as the original paper mache clay recipe. But aside from that, I think this is absolutely fantastic. The detail held beautifully. It's softer, so it sands really easy. So if you're one of the people who really like things smooth, this would be great. This is the recipe I'm going to use. I'll replace the recipe that I put up a few days ago. You'll find it out at ultimatepapermache.com, too. Although we're not going to be able to call it Johnny Clay anymore because so many people have helped with this recipe now. We'll have to come up with a new name for it. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed this. Do some experiments of your own. I hope that you will, and let us know what happens. Thanks. Come see me, ultimatepapermache.com.